is David Faustino.
Hello, this is Andrew Chalmers, the writer and doctor in Doctor Who Dark Journey.
This is Dr. Steve-O.
Everybody, this is the Governator.
This is Inspector Gadget.
Hey, what's cracking, y'all? It's your boy J-Rock.
Good evening, folks. This is James DeBell.
This is Jeremy Taggart.
This is Kim Possible.
I'm Chris Holden-Lee.
Hey, this is Pat Mastroianni from Degrassi.
This is the evil Dr. Bad Vibes. Again, this is Missy Bear. And this is more from X-Men.
Hey, this is Andrew Gazette.
This is Sean Gunn.
Hi, this is Robert Carradine.
It's Tammy Stronach from The Neverending Story.
Hey, it's Zach Callison.
Hey, I'm DJ Jenny Rob.
And I'm Neil Young.
I'm Commander Shepard.
Ralph Garman here. You're listening to Droids Canada. You've made an excellent choice. You have chosen wisely.
Warning. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello.
All right. I'm here at Forest City Comic Con. I'm here with Ralph Garman. How are you, sir?
I'm well, sir. Thanks for having me.
So thank you for the opportunity to sit down with you. This is very huge for me, being as which is that obviously podcasting has become a huge thing. You have a great show. So what got you into podcasting, though?
Kevin Smith got me into podcasting. I was doing a morning radio show in Los Angeles, and Kevin and I had become friends and wanted to do our own radio show. We were going to do a weekly show about entertainment news. And the station that I was working with at the time passed on it. They said no one's interested in hearing people talk. This is years ago, before podcasting became the mammoth industry that it is now. And so we said, all right, never mind, we won't do it. And then Kevin started expanding his podcast universe. He had already done one called Smodcast, and he was adding to his network.
Right.
And I said to him, let's do that thing we talked about doing, the Hollywood talking thing, on your podcast network. So Hollywood Babylon, as it's called, was born, and that was over 8 years ago. And that was my first entree into the world. And then, when my radio job ended last year, I started my own solo podcast called The Ralph Report on Patreon.com.
That's awesome. Now, what do you think, and this is a huge, maybe a big comment, I guess I would say, do you think podcasting eventually is going to overtake the radio?
Yes, I think terrestrial radio is dying, which is sad because, radio played a big part in a lot of people's lives. But, I mean, for example, I lost my job last year after 18 years simply because the money side of the business is drying up and stations are going out of business and networks are declaring bankruptcy. And it's because you can get music anywhere, right? You can get it on your phone, you can download it, you can stream it. Radio isn't what it used to be in terms of delivering music. So then what's left? Content that's personality driven, that's people's point of views, and who's doing that best? Podcasts are doing that best.
Well, I think that radio, you're right, it has definitely been going downhill for a little bit of a while now, and I feel that radio is now relying on doing shock value things to try and drag their audience back. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Tragically Hip. Obviously, he passed away, but we had a great guy. His name was Jesse Mods, very popular, and he got a lot of fans back to his radio station because he was trying to stop the scalpers from buying up all the tickets for the final Tragically Hip show, and he actually played this guy out to drive all the way into St. Catharines, all the way from Toronto, just to say, no, man, I don't have the tickets. I just wanted to prove a point to stop scalping and ruin it.
Oh, wow, that's great.
But, I mean, it dragged a lot of people to it. And just sometimes I listen to radio.
Welcome to the Forest City Comic Con. Remember, there's lots going on throughout the day. Upstairs on the
well, it's not that bad. Have you ever been to Fan Expo?
No, I haven't, but I've heard good things.
You should definitely check that out. That is the best one in all of Canada. Whether it's in Vancouver and it's in Toronto. Toronto is the biggest one. I don't know why I'm trying to talk over it. I'm gonna regret this. I don't know why.
Just wait.
It's kind of like
right out.
What's up, Dan?
Dan, we're good.
I think we're good. No, the worst one. We did a convention. I don't remember where it was, and it was 15 minutes long. And my friend was interviewing the comic artist for, I want to say Black Lightning, because that just came out last year, and it became a very popular show on the CW.
Yes.
And he lost 15 minutes of that podcast.
Oh, that's the worst.
And he had to run to a panel right after, so he lost it. So
the one thing about podcasting versus radio, I worked in radio for many years, you learn you have to become your own engineer and your own editor and your own sound guy, and it's a learning curve. You have to learn a lot about audio, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything I've done in podcasting myself has been self-taught. I got into podcasting because I was going through a really bad bout of depression in my life, so I found podcasting as a way for me to express myself. I was always a huge nerd and stuff like that, right? And it wasn't until I got a podcasting and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not that bad. And we started getting followers and stuff like that. People start commenting on it. I'm like, maybe I'll give this a real go. And Myself personally, this is our 5th year, and we've interviewed a ton of people. And this is just a great opportunity to sit down with people like yourself that influence the podcast culture.
Well, it's podcasting gives great opportunity for people to, like you said, express themselves, but also, you don't need permission anymore to broadcast, in essence. It used to be a radio network or a TV network used to have to give you permission to go out there and reach an audience. Now we all can reach our audiences, and it's great.
I do enjoy that there's a little bit of there's unfilteredness to it. Like, you can pull up any podcast. Like, I listen to multiple podcasts, some of them that are very straight to the point, and some that are more comedic. Like, you listen to, like, Kevin's got, 3 or 4 shows now?
Yeah, he's got 4, I think, now he's doing.
And I only subscribe to 2 because it's a lot of Kevin. It's a lot of Kevin.
Absolutely. There's a lot of content out there, and you can pick and choose. That's the nice thing about podcasts. It's like a smorgasbord. You can go through there and pick whatever you like.
Now, if there was ever a podcast project that you thought to yourself that you might do one day outside of your current report right now, what would you do?
Because of my love and affection for my friend Adam West and also the Batman TV series from the 60s, I know there already exist many of these, but I would like to go through and do an episode-by-episode guide of the 120 episodes of Batman, the TV series. That would be fun for me.
And that seems to be getting very popular right now. A lot of watch-alongs. That seems to be very important. I know. I listen to, I'm not sure if you're a wrestling fan at all, but I listen to one called, it's very popular. It's the Bruce Pritchard Show. And he watches, like, the old wrestling pay-per-views from the 80s and 90s. And because he was there during that time period, he can tell, like, insider information on what's going on. But now that becomes the new trend. And so we started our own show like that. Ash vs. the Evil Dead, the Bruce Campbell one.
Sure, yeah.
And so my buddy is deathly afraid. Who should be doing this interview today? He didn't come. I don't know why. But he's deathly afraid of zombies, deathly afraid of gore. So the whole show, it's me trying to coerce him, like, calm down, and he's freaking out during the entire episode.
That's great.
So if someone was not familiar with the show, which would be a complete lie, I'm sure, where would they find your show?
Well, there's 2 now. Obviously, I do one with Kevin Smith that we've been doing for over 8 years called Hollywood Babylon. And you can find that wherever you get your podcasts from, iTunes or Stitcher or wherever have you. We're there once a week. We do that. And then over on Patreon.com, Patreon.com/The Ralph Report, that's where I do my own podcast, which is Monday through Friday. It's a daily podcast. Not a lot of people doing daily podcasts out there, but I do an hour every day with a sidekick, and we do news and interviews and entertainment, and it's a blast.
I find, do you get a lot of subscriptions on Patreon? Obviously you would because you're known, but I mean, I tried getting into the Patreon level and I found it to be more bothersome more than rewarding.
It's easier for someone like myself who has an audience from almost 20 years on the radio and another almost 10 years with Kevin, to be able to make a living on Patreon. It's easier than going the advertising route, which is where most people do with their Patreon. So, I mean, with their podcast. So I would suggest if you're just starting out, then the best way to go is either with a free podcast or with the advertising-based model. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Thank you for your time. I appreciate sitting down with you. It's been a definite pleasure.
My pleasure.
And continue your great success on the Ralph Report.
Thank you so
and
much.
I hope I run into you again one day.
Likewise. Thank you very
Fucking bullshit! Fucking bullshit! Fucking bullshit! Fucking popular! Fucking bullshit! Fucking bullshit! Fucking bullshit! Son of a bitch! Bullshit don't go good!
To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here, I'm the man.